I do want to share with you the scripture that comes from Isaiah, the 60th chapter. This is Epiphany. And so this fits right in. You can follow along in the bulletin. Let me read it for us. Arise, shine, for your light has broken through. The Eternal One's brilliance has dawned upon you. See, truly, look carefully. Darkness blankets the earth. People all over are cloaked in darkness. But God will rise and shine on you. The Eternal's bright glory will shine on you, a light for all to see. Arise, shine, for our light is come. It was last spring when I was driving down the street. I don't know if you noticed this or not, but it's usually about that time that the dogwood trees come out and they just show off. They have these beautiful white blossoms that just seem to explode and they fill the air. So I was driving down the road and I realized, okay, this year, because I've seen these before, and I have thought this before, this year I'm going to make sure I take a photo of one. Have my camera with me, I'm going to pop out someplace and I'm going to take a picture. Because it's so wonderfully beautiful. I'm going to do it. About 2 weeks passed. And I was driving down another road, saw some more dogwood trees with those wonderful white blossoms. I'm going to do it. I'm going to take a picture, sure enough. Another week or 10 days went on, and I was driving down the street, and I started noticing that these white blossoms were now starting to turn into green little leaves. I'm going to do it. So sure enough, over the weekend, I noticed that Monday was scheduled to be a beautiful day. Blue sky, warm temperature. And so I took my camera with me. I came to church like I usually on Mondays. And in the afternoon, I noticed that my time was free. So I figured out the plan. I know some of you have gone to a place called Grounds for Sculpture. A marvelous place. All these fantastic sculptures, beautiful landscaping, and dogwood trees with white blossoms. So I drove over there right from church. As I was getting close, I started to see those trees. Oh, this is going to be good. I pulled into the driveway, into the parking lot, and there it was, the sign that reminded me so ever weirdly, they're closed on Mondays. I'm going to do it. I was not going to be detoured this year. There's another place right down the road, Sayen Park, S-A-Y-E-N. Our daughter Catherine had introduced Nancy and I to that earlier when we came here. It's a beautiful little park, about 30 acres. It was built well over 100 years ago. It has all sorts of fountains and ponds and gazebos. They have a lot of weddings there. And they have trees and flowers and shrubs and dogwood trees. So I just skipped over there. They're open every day a week. Drove in the parking lot. And within about 5 minutes, I was taking some of the best photographs ever imaginable. Brilliant blue sky as a backdrop to these gorgeous white blossoms on the dogwood tree. That's what I was looking for. It was such a beautiful day, I decided I would just keep walking around. You stroll all through the place. I did that, I guess, another 30 minutes easily. Just it was a beautiful day. And so I decided, I found this little alcove with a park bench surrounded by trees and grass and shrubs and flowers, and I just sat down. Decided I'm just going to sit and soak in this day even more. And that's when I met Donnie. Hadn't planned on it. But I don't know what it was about this encounter that just inspired me. I became a chatterbox. I first started thinking and talking about the park. What a gorgeous park it was. I'm pretty sure she agreed. I started talking about family. How blessed I am to have a family like I have, and they put up with me. Quite a nice match. I think she agreed. Family is special. Talked about life itself. And yes, there's hiccups, there's bloody noses, there's skinned elbows, there's all sorts of things that go wrong, but there will be beauty in the world. Just look around. She definitely agreed with that. It was quite an encounter. Interestingly enough, Dottie Farina had died about a year before. But that park bench, as I got up to leave, in loving memory, Dottie Farina, where there are flowers, so is hope. Now, I was curious. I don't think I had lost it. In fact, I know that from other conversations I've had with so many people, that there are those times when the presence of somebody is so strong that they don't have to be there. And you know they are there. We could spend time today. It'd be interesting to get in small groups and talk about those experiences you have had. Maybe a loved one who is deceased. Maybe a family member that is just away, but they are here with you. You see, that's what happens when there's a presence so vital, so amazing, so relevant, so meaningful. That person, that entity, that idea doesn't have to be physically present for it to impact your life. This is Epiphany Sunday. And even though I don't know that I really buy into the history of this story about the three wise men coming, we can shoot holes in it all day long. I love the concept. I really do. These three wise men, somehow they're alerted to that there's something very special going on, so they travel. And if you look at the calendar, just for example, from the distance of Christmas, when Jesus was born, and Epiphany, when they arrive, that's 12 days. So Jesus conceivably would be 12 days old. Now what happens during that time? Oh, family and friends gather and they start noticing things about this little baby. Oh, he has his uncle's eyes. Oh, she has her aunt's hair. Oh, she has, and people start identifying attributes to this little baby, even though those people probably aren't present. But they start seeing something in this baby. These wise men come and they are seeing something in this baby. It's not like the pictures sometimes depict that Jesus had a halo over his head. There's no neon signs. There's no road sign saying this way to Jesus. He slept here. But somehow, some way, they experience that God with us, Emmanuel, and this little baby. Something is touching them in such an amazing way that God's presence is there. Epiphany. When we recognize that God's presence is, oh yes, alive and well. But if we move beyond that scene to, instead of the wise men, to what about you and I? Adriana, thank you for the song. If you understood some of the lyrics, it was talking about how this writer, this song talks about how the world, and even this person, sometimes feels like they're not very good. There's issues, there's problems, but God's presence says, oh no, 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 no. You are loved. I love you. You are worthy. God wasn't physically here. And yet, didn't we feel that in Adriana's words as she sang to us? Didn't we feel, yeah, God is present. Arise, shine, for your light is come. Did you catch that part? God's breaking into the world, the eternal one, so many times, so many ways. It's not that God is physically present, but aren't you and I able to experience? Oh yeah. God is sitting right beside me on that park bench, it would seem. God with us. Not just in that manger scene, but right here, right now. God with us. Isn't that Epiphany? It's not just about the wise men coming to the manger, but isn't it also about you and I accepting God's presence in our life? Not as a theory, not as a holiday, but as a reality, as a lifestyle, as this is who we are. And God is present right here. And so we can say no, not only to plastic bags, but we can say no to those times when we doubt ourselves, when we look at ourselves and we just shudder. Where did I go wrong? Instead, what happens if we instead understand His presence says, well, I might not like myself today, but God loves me. God with us. But I want to flip this, because I think it's good, very, very good, for us to understand Epiphany is not only the wise men conceptually coming to the manger and recognizing God's presence. It's not only about you and I recognizing God's presence in our own lives, but what about our presence and the light shining through our presence, where our presence is felt by others? You see, this changes it, doesn't it? Because the story doesn't stop with just us receiving. Does not the story continue with our continued giving and sharing and being that presence that maybe we forgot we can be? You know, let's talk about us as a congregation just for a second. And thank you. I think, Linda, you were the one that talked about our solar panels? Or was it Sue? Take your pick. Okay. The solar panels. You know the story behind that. We've talked about that quite a bit. Exact Solar, who is a local organization that's been a part of this community for quite a while, has seen over the years what this church has done. Our presence. Even though we may not have been physically there, our presence is very much felt in this community. Not too long ago, Welcoming the Stranger honored our church. And a number of our congregants, Lance was able to speak for us and receive an award because of all that our congregation has done. Sometimes we aren't physically present in the community, and yet we are. What about each one of you? Let's get more individual for a second. Do you ever doubt that your presence is felt elsewhere, even if you're not there? Think about, you know how many times I've heard Al Crass's name pop up? He's not here, but he is here. Let's go up and down the road, okay? Let's talk about each one of you. Wouldn't that be marvelous? Dave, let's start with you. Go away. And I bet we'd still remember you. We'd remember all the times that you spoke, that you made us laugh, that you sang with us, that you cared for us, all the many, many times that even if you're not here, you are here. Okay? Who'd like to come next? We could be here the rest of the day. We could be here the rest of the day and go up and down the road and identify those who maybe aren't physically here, but they are here. And now, what about you? What claim will you have on the future? My daughter Catherine, our daughter Catherine, gave me a marvelous Christmas gift last Christmas. Not just a couple of weeks ago, but last Christmas. It's a fascinating gift. It was from a place called Storyworth. And what they do is each week they send you a question for you to write a story about. And it's fascinating. I started out back in January and started looking at some of the questions. You know, what were you like as a child? Oh. What were some of your favorite toys as a child? Did you ever get in trouble in school? What were you like as a teenager? Who was your first boss? Have you ever gone on any great road trips? These stories kept coming, and I kept writing, surprisingly. But something happened as I went through these stories that I realized these stories weren't really about me. They are about so many of the people who have been in my life, who had touched me, who had molded me, family and coaches and friends and family and teachers and people in the church had touched me, that they were in that room every time I wrote a story. Whose room are you going to be in when others write their story? Because you will be. You will be there. And it's our choice of what that story, how that story, when that story will be written, and how they will remember us. I remember Lance. I remember Chet. I remember, and all the way down, Bob and Jane and Nancy and Jackie and, oh my gosh, I remember them. Our presence will be here and there and everywhere. Arise, shine, for your light, for our light is come.